Welcome to Module 1, teacher leaders. Very happy to have you in class. This is going to be a great one for you. I really love this topic, building capacity of adult learners. One of the things that I learned very early on in my doctoral work was how little I knew about adult learning. And I wish I would have learned about this so much earlier because for years I had been leading professional development sessions and I was a department chair for our social studies department. And I really didn't know a whole lot about adult learning. And so I was so happy that I had that piece of my education in my doctoral classes that I took. But here we are in a teacher leader endorsement learning about it, and I think that is awesome. So I think this is going to be great for all of you to learn more about adult learning. I find that in my own professional life, it's kind of like having a little bit of an advantage if you know this information, because it really helps you when you're working with adults, because working with adults is quite a bit different than working with students. And any of you that have had that opportunity to spend time leading adults, you know that it can be quite a challenge at times. And so throughout this course, we're really going to cover a lot of topics, everything from adult learning theory. We're going to get into the connection with teacher leadership and professional development, and we're also going to look quite a bit deeper into the idea of personalized professional development, which I think is a really cool thing. So we'll jump into a lot of topics. So here we go with Module 1. At the top here, you can see we have our module objectives, and you can see that we have 3 of them for this first module, and they are lined up with the Ohio Teacher Leader Endorsement Standards. So you can see how those line up with everything there. And those were actually revised just a couple of years ago, so those are current. So pretty cool to see how our Youngstown program lines up really nicely with teacher leadership standards. So as far as the activities for this module, I'm going to go through some of these a little bit quicker than others. I just wanted to give everybody a quick flyover of kind of what you're going to be doing. So the reading, there's actually no textbook reading for this very first module. Just kind of want to get your feet wet with adult learning theory. The first 2 articles are here: Teachers as Learners, Implications for Adult Education and Professional Development. So a nice kind of jump into this topic. And then also a contrast, looking at the differences between pedagogy and andragogy, which is going to be actually one of your main assignments for this first module. You can also see here, we have a couple videos to watch. 2 of these are pulled from the Ohio Department of Education. I actually got these from the Teacher Leadership Toolkit, which I'll be talking about quite a bit throughout all of these courses. And that was something I was actually a part of as well, creating that toolkit, and I pulled both of these videos from there. Some great information about adult learning, and really kind of gives you a good flyover of the theory and also what it looks like in practice. So as far as the discussion question here, what you're going to be doing for the discussion question, you're going to need to post these, your initial response, and then make sure that you follow up a few days later by the Monday of the next week to at least 2 of your classmates' posts. And what we're really looking for in these discussion questions is you to be dialoguing with people from a variety of different backgrounds. I mean, that's the value of an online community, is that we are going to have some people from school districts who wouldn't normally meet during a class time because it'd be too far for everybody to drive to meet. So I think it's kind of cool for people all around the state to be able to dialogue, or maybe even around the country, to be able to dialogue about the different aspects of teacher leadership, and in this case, adult learning theory. So your discussion question is, it says, if you could develop an ideal professional development day or experience, what would it look like to you? So if you were the center of the learning, if you were the person that was going through the professional development, what would that look like for you? You know, would there be movement involved? Would you be able to choose your own adventure? Would you like a large group session or small group session, or whatever? And then what supports would follow the learning that takes place? You know, I think the thing that I hear a lot about PD is it's so nice to have these PD sessions, and they're usually well intended, but what happens when the PD session is over, right? So what do we do when we go home? And you know that sometimes, I mean, we're all busy, and you go home and you may have a family, or you may have other responsibilities in your life, and there's a lot of things that you get involved in, and it's just sometimes those things get pushed aside. So I think it's great when districts can support the learner after the professional development, and also we can support each other in the learning as well. So we're going to talk a little bit about that in the discussion question. All right, and just make sure to include some things that you've read about and that you know about as far as adult learning. Now, there's two assignments for this first module. The first one is a module one reflection, which basically you're going to be viewing those two videos that I mentioned here from above. Okay, and they're linked here for you as well. And you're going to reflect on what you learned and how it's going to apply to your work. And I really want you to pull some elements from the video, so use those as resources and really reflect on the learning that has taken place. Maybe how does it apply to your lives? What didn't you know that you're glad that you know now? Maybe some surprises. You can kind of take that however you want. A reflection is intended to be very open. Okay, so please don't feel that this needs to be like a clinical approach to it. This is a very open and flexible reflection on where you are, where you want to be, what you're how you're interacting maybe with the material that you're reading. Okay, so please be very very open during those reflections. And then this last assignment, this pedagogy and andragogy assignment, I'm actually going to open this one up a little bit so you can see it, so that we kind of know what's going on. So if you scroll down to the actual assignment itself, you can see here the pedagogy and andragogy assignment has the due date and all of those kind of things. But here it is. And basically, what you're going to be doing with this here is there's really three parts. So you're going to be looking into some information, some background about these two sides of the coin. So pedagogy, so think about how we teach students, and then andragogy, how we teach or learn as far as adults. And although there's some real similarities between the two, I mean, there really are. And we can both learn in different ways. I mean, you can definitely learn through pedagogy, and you can definitely learn using andragogy as well. But we want to make sure that you understand that there's a distinct difference, and understanding those differences, I think, will really help you when you're leading adults. Okay, so there's just a paragraph here about what we're kind of looking at here, and then what you're going to be doing is including like a 4 to 6 page paper with this here, with some APA sources, as you'll see below, and having an APA reference page. Now, just everybody, I want you to know that page requirements are there only as guidelines. All right, I was the type of person, I would always be on this upper end of things. I'm a very verbose writer. I like to write a lot. I have lots of commas and semicolons and all those other kind of things. I'm not saying that's the best thing in the world, but if you can get it done in 3 or 4 pages, then you get it done in 3 or 4 pages. Okay, you just have to see what it is that you need to make this happen. And I know students don't like to hear that. Just type as much as you think you need. But at the same point, I don't want to limit anybody. So if you feel like you need to write and write and write and include things, do it. If you think you can be more concise, then be concise. All right. So part one, background information. You're going to be including research articles. A great place to start with this. If you've not used Google Scholar is a great place to go. I'm not sure I can actually bring it up here if you'd like to see it. So Google Scholar is a resource that I use quite a bit. Yes, you can use the MOG library through YSU, but I find that Google Scholar can be incredibly helpful. So what you can do with Google Scholar is, let's say I type in teacher leadership. Okay, what you can do here is you can go through all of these. You can search custom range here. Generally, the rule is 10 years or better. So we're in, let's see, 2020. So 2010 or more recent, that would be best for your articles. Okay, and you can select custom ranges, you can select all kinds of things. But the little trick here is that you need to click on the PDF over here to actually be able to open the document. So anything that doesn't have that little PDF next to it, you're not going to be able to open as easily. And let me show you the difference. So if I click on this little one here, okay, what this is going to do is it's going to take you to kind of a page where they might ask you to like purchase it or something like that, get access. Okay, but if you go back to where it says PDF, it'll take you right to the PDF of the document. And then I'm using a Chromebook here. You could download it if you want, or you can save it however you want on a normal computer or a typical computer. So you can see you can have that. And what I did is when I was going through my doctoral work and also my master's work, is I just created a kind of file folder for a lot of these downloads. So anyway, I just wanted to show you Google Scholar. It's helpful. It's something you can use, and I just liked saving documents all the way through and having those for whenever I needed them. Okay. So that's where you're going to get some sources. You're going to provide a background on both sides, on pedagogy and andragogy, and what they are, some key researchers, and there definitely are some names you're going to run across for sure. And then part two is you're going to do a personal analysis. So you're going to think of some examples of PD sessions that you've gone through. Think about staff meetings. Think about times in which you were the center of the learning as an adult. How did you feel about your experience? Was it one of those situations where it was opening day and, in my case, 250 teachers in an auditorium, and everybody that was leading those PD sessions was well intended and they cared for us, but it was just, we hope they get the message, and then we all kind of went about our business, right, for the day. So is that good for you, or did you like something smaller? Think about that. And then how did these experiences align? So were these more pedagogy or were these more andragogy? And think about the supports that follow. And then the last piece here is, as a teacher leader, we're always thinking through that lens. So some of you may already be leading as teacher leaders, which is fantastic. And my personal belief is we're all leaders, okay? We're all leaders. But when you start stepping out of your classroom and leading in that way, that's where you start getting to that teacher leadership, right? So as a teacher leader, how will you apply these adult learning principles to your work with adults that you work with? And then describe what your vision is for adult learning. What would you like to see? Okay. And then you can see here the rubric is also hyperlinked here for you, so you can kind of see what I'm looking for all the way across the board. Okay. So trying to be real clear with what the expectations, what we need here. I've taught an online class here earlier this year, and the students did great work. And I found, we had some questions here or there. So if you have them, let me know. Be happy to clarify. But I think you're going to do great work too. And my students in my previous class, they just rocked it. They did a great job. And I know you will too. So just stick with it. Okay. So that's module one, really in a nutshell here. You can see everything's kind of labeled out for you. And you can see where you get everything else. I have a summary at the end. So I wish you all the best. These classes go really fast, so please stay on top of things, stay on top of your reading, set a plan, organize yourself, keep a Google Calendar to make sure you know when assignments are due. And I will do my best to respond to emails and any communications that you need in a timely fashion. I check my YSU email several times a day, and I'll make sure I respond because I understand the weeks go pretty quick. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. I'm so excited to have you here in class, and can't wait to learn alongside you. All right. Have a great one.